We start with a dud in Dallas. Ended with a bit of a comeback. Cowboys fall to 1-2 as the Ravens run over and through the Dallas defense. Tempers and frustrations flared. Here's Micah postgame.
Right now, we got people just trying to be Superman. People just got to own their jobs, bro. We don't need everyone to be Superman. We don't need no Supermans at all. We just need 11 guys playing together. Everyone's in the locker room saying we're going to do what we got to do, and everyone's going to be accountable. Then when you come out, we're just like, how are we getting gas? We're not being accountable. We're not set right. I need to get these guys behind me to trust me first. Like, I don't want to make those plays by myself because they're just going to slow them down, right? So I need everyone to do that, right? Not just me. So I don't feel like I should be telling another grown man to consistently be accountable. At some point, they got to take it within themselves. So every day within ourselves, we got to say, did we get better? Did I get better today?
Okay, a lot there to unpack. Brew, your reaction and eventually a grade, if you could.
You want the grade. All right, let me react to Micah. First of all, he said I shouldn't be telling grown men to be accountable, but he spent the whole 5 minutes of his presser holding grown men accountable. Nick, I didn't see, and I watched the whole thing, I didn't see him once. He mentioned I a couple times, but it was in a different context, I felt. I didn't see him once say, I got to do this. I have to be better. I have to look in the mirror. So I don't think that's going to sit well in the locker room because he should have taken some more accountability. I think it's poor leadership and it's a lack of accountability by the best player. Secondly, you're Superman, Micah. You're supposed to be Superman.
Correct.
When you start negotiating your contract, or you probably already did this offseason trying, you're not going to be like, hey, I'm just one of 11 doing my role. Let me do my part. You're going to be like, I'm Superman. And he is supposed to be a game wrecker a la T.J. Watt, a la Myles Garrett. All right, we see a la Max Crosby, other guys wrecking games. All
Trey
right?
Hendrickson, a lot of the best edge rushers this year have wrecked at least one, if not two games or a game and a half.
Yep.
Mike is yet to do it.
He hasn't wrecked anything. In fact, and this is related to my grade. Let's look at this graphic of Micah's lack of production. You see, the previous 3 years of his career, he's essentially in the top 10 every year in sacks and tackles for losses.
Yeah.
In 2022, he dropped a little.
Yeah.
This year, one of each. And look at that. 119 guys have more tackles for losses than Micah. 59 guys have more sacks. And I'm going to get those one sack, one tackle for loss. That was in the first game.
Week one
so
against
last
Cleveland.
2 weeks, he has yet to have a sack or tackle for loss. So I need Micah to be Superman. So he's had a drop-off. That's a hint. Drop off.
What's that?
All right, second thing.
Get it?
Jerry Jones.
I don't.
Jerry Jones, and I'm not going to jump on you, Nick, but you don't think the running backs are important. I do.
Well, we're going to get.
And neither does Jerry Jones.
That's
you're doing the whole show.
Well, let me just say, Derrick Henry ran for 151, and he wanted to be a Cowboy, and y'all didn't want him. Yeah. So Derrick.
Now I'm getting
Derrick.
it. Oh,
It gets
drop
a little
off.
slow.
Derrick.
Drop off.
Oh, so now.
And look, let me say this. It was hard because for 3 quarters they looked like a clear F. And then they obviously rallied, had a chance to win.
Could have won.
But I put more of that on the Ravens' complacency and just utter foolishness than the Cowboys' ability. So D for drop-off of Micah and D for Derrick Henry, who should be a Dallas Cowboy.
Wow. All right, well done all across the board.
Dak escapes on that.
Yeah, I was going to say Dak.
Dak, yeah, you're right. He definitely escaped.
Maybe would have
I didn't want to
better
pile
than
on.
drop off, but that's fine. So the grade's totally fair. I think on this show, I'm the one person who most often defends Micah. I think it's not like anybody really attacks his play prior to this, but I think the podcast people have a bigger issue with than I do. Sure. Some of the comments. I thought this post-game press conference was indefensible, given lining up with what he did, what he said with how he played. So before we roll the tape, I just want to make some clear. He is what he is, I think, describing there repeatedly is guys not playing kind of almost nerdy football ease, not playing your gaps, not playing your assignment, and then you try to do too much, and then the guy goes where you were supposed to be. You're out of position. And granted, I'm not in Mike Zimmer's meetings, but I watched the beginning of this game. And on the first play of the game for Baltimore's offense and the last play of that first drive for Baltimore's offense, to me there was one Dallas Cowboy who was clearly trying to be Superman and screwing it up. And we can show it to you. Watch the bottom of your screen, watch 11, Micah, and watch where he goes and where Lamar goes. Oh, wait, that was the guy who's supposed to hold contain, I think. What about on the touchdown? Watch Micah, where he goes, that's... Now, again, I'm not in the meetings, but typically it's that edge guy's job to keep contain on the zone read, particularly against Lamar Jackson. And from the very beginning of the game so to me, that's what made the comment so galling, was at the very least, you were part of the problem you're talking about, if not the primary piece of it. And the other one is what Bruce said. We're going to talk more big picture about the Cowboys throughout the show. But it would appear right now, I personally way overvalued one part of their team. I might have undervalued the importance of the running back, which we'll get to. But I thought they would have an excellent defense because they consistently have an excellent defense. And while they lost a lot of pieces on offense over the offseason, they didn't lose as many on defense. And so I'm like, okay, well, Micah's entering his prime. They're getting Diggs back. They still have DeMarcus Lawrence. Like, they spent some mid-round draft picks on these guys. I think Zimmer's good. You know, I don't think he's a big drop-off from Dan Quinn. I think from defensive coordinating, he might be better. We'll see. And this defense is a laughingstock right now.
Yeah.
Giving up 500 yards rushing the last 2 weeks.
Not great.
And so I think a D is more than fair, Brew, and you're right. It was trending towards a massive F.
Absolutely.
And then they have this furious comeback that, almost that had to make Baltimore nervous, but they still end up with a third straight loss at home and their third loss in their last 4 games, if you're dating back to the last postseason.
Dak threw the ball 51 times for almost 380 yards, 2 touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. In the tunnel, he gave the okay for people to jump off the bandwagon. Take a listen. I didn't hear the please the first time around. Okay, are you ready to jump off the bandwagon? You were supporting the Cowboys.
So, listen, I don't think the Cowboys are a bandwagon team.
Yeah, it's kind of odd.
It's kind of a weird thing. Like, they are... I think they have bandwagon haters, not bandwagon fans, if that makes sense.
I put myself in that category.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's a lot of, Johnny-come-lately Cowboy fans. But I think there's a lot of people that take a lot of schadenfreude in their, when they're not doing well.
Sure.
So I also think that there is a lot with the Cowboys of, just adding to the external pressure and noise with these types of things that they don't need to do. Jerry's going to do it. The players don't have to. But as far as am I ready to abandon them as a playoff team, I'm not. I still think that, I think in 4 days they're going to win because they always beat the Giants and they'll be settled and steady. And I also think, and we'll talk about this more later in the show, there's only one team in the whole league that I actually think's really good. And so everyone else that has a lot of talent, I think is going to be fine-ish. But Brew's concern about the running game totally is being bared out. They are a team that is, to me, and the biggest problem with the Cowboys with the running game wilds is not their lack of running, it's their inability to stop the run. They're both problems.
Yeah, a little combo.
They're built a lot like the 2000s Colts. We're going to play on a fast track. We're going to get a lead. We got a superstar receiver, and then we're going to unleash our pass rush. But those teams, if you don't get a lead and if you let the other team feels like they can run on you, you can get gashed and get bullied, and get pushed around. And so right now, they have not lived up to the expectations that I had them before the year, which, by the way, was just win the division and make it to round 2 of the playoffs. Not like I had them going super deep. But they have been, to me, one of the more disappointing teams in the league thus far. And they seem like they are fraying a bit in a way where things could go sideways on them quickly.
I agree.
Well, to that point, yeah. I mean, Micah, we saw last year, I can't remember the safety who bit back at Micah.
Was it Malik Hooker?
Yes,
Malik Hooker.
what he said on that podcast. And now with Micah talking all this stuff, to Nick's point,